Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Shri Radha Vino Bihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki jai, Patik Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ju ki jai, Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai, Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas. Radhe Radhe, I'm going to give you the drum if I can do.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham, Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Padakamalam. I see Jiva Pavana Prabhu has already posted it. So if you do not have the book, then you can just scroll to the most recent post of Jiva Pavana Prabhu and follow along with what he posts. Thank you, Prabhu, for always being there and sharing the bhajans and the translations and the commentaries. Dandavat Pranam all Vaishnavas. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavāśṭa Shri Rūpam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathatvritam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Samadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pavam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamshcha Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Namine Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Odaya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Nārāyaṇam Vamshirashan Namami Tridandiram Bhakta Shiromanicam Shri Krishna Pada Jagataika Vrindi Chaitanya Leelamrita Sarasaram Nārayanam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedānta Gosvāmī Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaham Vishnupadaya Gaura Presthaya Bhutale Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyāna Keshava Iti Namine Ati Martyaksharitrai Svashritanam Chapaline Jiva Dukhe Sadartai Shri Nama Premadayine Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Śrī Varshabhanavi Devi Dayitaya Kripabhaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnano Mudayine Prabhave Namaha Madhuryo Jvala Premadhya Śrī Rupanunga Bhaktidam Śrī Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Śrī Murtaye Vinatarine Rupanungam Nirudhapo Siddhanta Tvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambhara Sambudhe Padam Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanungavarayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestvam Nirdeshta Sajagapriya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannāthāya Te Namaha Vanchā kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva ca patitānaṁ pāvanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Namo Mahāvadanyāya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnāya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratrishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanto Radha Kanto Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Mandamatirgati Matsarvasvapadam Pujo Radha Madanamohana Divyatrindaranya Kalpatumada Śrīmad Ratnagara Sinhasanascho Śrī Radha Śrīla Govindadeva Preshthani Sevyamahno Smarami Śrīmandra Sarasaramhi Vamshivaddantatastikah Karshadvenu Smarerguti Gopinatha Shriestunah Vrindaye Tulasideve Priyaye Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradedevi Satyavattai Namo Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupasvarupakam Bhaktamataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhaktashaktikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahālāvakti Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyamadhu Jivanam Anandam Mudivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritashvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Harer Nama Harer Nama Harer Nama Eva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyatha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Dandavat Pranama Vaishnava. Oh, Sudevi, can you please arrange for some more format, please? Water. Thank you. You have seen the hand. She is present. One second. So we will sing Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma for our first bhajan. Wow. I didn't know if I was going to speak anything about this particular subject. But Mr. Whittaker, Mukunda Prabhu, asked a question: which is stronger, love in union or love in separation? Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja said, no one wants separation. It's not that people are, or they, transcendental personalities, are striving for separation. They always want union, but separation is a natural part of it. So that separation increases the sweetness and the quality of the union. So what is the purpose of separation? It is only to serve the union. The union is not for serving the separation, but the separation is for serving the union. This is its purpose. So Yogamaya makes all kinds of arrangements for that to take place. And Krishna sees how great the love of his Brajabasis is when there's that separation. So which is stronger? It's a difficult one to answer. Separation is spoken about in all of our scriptures. And even within separation there is a kind of meeting. That is the meaning of viraha. Viraha means separation, but it also means special meeting. But that special meeting is a complete absorption kind of special meeting. Due to separation, then the object of one's contemplation takes over completely. But I cannot say which is stronger, actually. Srimati Radhika was trying to explain prema, and she said it's not really something you can define with words. It's something that must be experienced. And why do I say trying? Because she said even she's not capable of explaining it fully. So I'm definitely not capable of explaining it fully. But I just remember our Srila Gurudev mentioning that. No one wants separation. That's not the goal. The goal is not separation. The goal is to meet with Krishna, of course. But the separation enhances that. And even then, the separation that takes place within the hearts of the transcendental associates of Krishna, the Brajabasis, especially the Brajagopis, Gurudev said, dances on the heads of all kinds of ananda of this world. Ananda means the highest kind of bliss that you can attain in this world or even in any other Vaikuntha planet. The separation that they experience, which is so acute, the word I'm using is not acute, it is acute, means very extremely refined and intense. Even though it has so much pain in it, within that is a certain quality which is also so much more pleasure than millions and millions of other kinds of pleasure that one can conceive of. So that in itself is practically inconceivable. But for us as sadhakas, separation and that mood of separation is the process by which we can weep for Krishna and attract his mercy and compassion. It's the process by which we can weep for Gurudev and Vaishnavas, Nityananda Prabhu, Mahaprabhu, and all of those transcendental associates and attract their mercy, their compassion, their sidelong glance. So that's the process that Mahaprabhu took to experience Radha Bhav. And you hear it in Śrī Satyavrata Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravarishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahename. That in separation from you, O Krishna, one moment feels like millions of yugas. Yugaitam nimeshena. Without having your darshan, chakshusha pravarishaitam, the entire universe feels vacant, empty. Shunyaitam jagat sarvam. In separation from Krishna. So one moment of separation feels like that. Mahaprabhu is expressing this, and through the medium of his tears and that feeling of separation, he's also showing what prem is, the definition of prem, that even though there's every reason for it to break, that divine love, not only does it not break, but it continues to increase more and more and more forever. And there's no condition to it. That is the last verse of Śrī Satyavrata. Ashlishyava paradatang pinashtumang adarshanan maramahatam karotuva yata tata vaviridhatu lampato mat prananathastu saeva naparaha. Oh my Lord, you can do whatever you like with me. If you want, you can kick me away forever, if that's what pleases you. Or you can embrace another in front of me. Or you can embrace me as you like. Whatever is for your happiness, your pleasure, your benefit. It won't change the nature of my love for you. You are always my prananath. Prananath is not my Lord. It is my very life's, the life of my life. Like in Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, say more jivaner jivan. It means you are the life of my life. So this is a prananath. Pran means my life or my breath. You are my everything, and nothing that you do will change that. Even if you reject me or break my heart, it will only increase more and more, and there's no condition to it. So even within that separation, if that separation is pleasing, and even if I'm burning in that fire of separation, if that is pleasing to my prananath, then for me it will be the greatest source of pleasure. Why? Because bhakti is not about my happiness. Bhakti is about what is happiness, or what is giving pleasure, happiness, and benefit to Krishna, even if I must be sacrificed for it. I and any of my ideas of myself. This is the mood of a real servant. If I must suffer or die so that my Ishtadev is pleased or happy, then let it be. And in service to my Lord, then happiness or suffering is the same, as long as their service is being done. And if happiness comes to me and that stops my seva, then damn that ecstasy which stops my service. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita gives many examples of this. Like Daruka, as he's fanning Krishna with the chamara. He's seeing that each hair of that chamara is his own life's breath, and it's touching the feet of Krishna. And just seeing that breeze touching Krishna's dhoti, and how it's reciprocating with his offering, he completely falls unconscious in ecstasy. And when he wakes up from that unconscious state, he's cursing that ecstasy. Damn the ecstasy which has stopped my seva. The gopis are cursing the creator, Brahma. What kind of foolish creator are you? Don't you know that one moment of separation is like millions of yugas? And you've given us eyes with eyelids that blink so many times per minute? Where's your intelligence? And not only that, when we look upon Krishna, our hearts feel so much that tears come and we can't see him properly, so we cannot serve him. Gurudev said the gopis worship Krishna with their eyes. So the blinking and the tears are blocking. If you were an intelligent creator, you would have given us eyes everywhere, no tears and no eyelids, so that we can constantly drink the nectar of Krishna's beauty. In the same way that Rupa Goswami is saying, Tunde tandavani ritim vitante tundavali labdhaye. These 2 ears are not enough. I require millions of ears to drink the nectar of the sweet names of Krishna. This 1 tongue is not enough. I require millions of tongues to taste the sweet nectar of Krishna's name. These 2 eyes are not enough. I require millions of eyes to drink the nectar of Krishna's beauty. The gopis are speaking like this. So, because that is how they serve Krishna, with their sidelong glances. Oh, and Krishna loves it so much. But those tears and those blinkings are stopping that service for even a micro moment. Then they're cursing the ecstasy which brings about those tears, because it's stopping them from serving Krishna. So it is not about the ecstasy that I feel. The whole mood of the devotee is about the happiness, the service, the pleasure and the benefit that they are able to offer to Krishna. I don't know. Are Sattvika Bhavs a dreamlike state of Samadhi? I don't know. So now we will sing Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. And just before we began this program, Sudevi was just kind of humming this bhajan, page 28. Oh, Sudevi, remind me that we can do a little happy birthday for Amarendra Prabhu. Okay? Huh? Śrīla Sanātana ki jai. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma. Vando Mui Samo Vando Muni Samo Dhanate Jaharo Prasade Bhavan E Bhavatoriya Jaharo Prasade Bhavan E Krishna prapti ho jaha ho Krishna prapti ho jaha ho Guru mukha padma vakyo Chitte te koriya Padma Vakyo Chitte Te Toriya Aikyo Arana Kori Ho Mani Asha Arana Kori Ho Mani Asha Shri Guru Charana যাহা হইতে অবিদ্যা বিনাশ যতে প্রেম ভক্তি যাহা হইতে অবিদ্যা বিনাশ যতে বেদে গায় যাহার চরিত বেদে গায় যাহার চরিত শ্রী গুরু করুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনার বন্ধু শ্রী গুরু করুণা সিন্ধু অধম জনার বন্ধু লোকনাথ লোকে লোকনাথ লোকে আহা প্রভু করো দয়া দেহ মোরে বল ছায়া আহা প্রভু করো দয়া দেহ মোরে বল ছায়া তুয়া পদে তুয়া পদে এবে যাস কুসুম ত্রিভুবন এবে যাস কুসুম ত্রিভুবন গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব গুরুদেব জয় গুরুদেব জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা গুরু পরম্পরা परंपरा गुरु परंपरा श्रील गुरुदेव की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्री रूपानुग गौड़ीय गुरुवर्ग की जय श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja frequently referred to this bhajan, especially when discussing Guru Tattva, Diksha Tattva, Bhakti Tattva. Utilizing this bhajan as evidence, he would present certain conceptions quite deeply. Especially regarding Diksha Tattva, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashita. Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja explained, based on the teachings of Srila Jiva Goswami, what is Divya Gyan? Divya means divine or transcendental, and Gyan means knowledge. What is that divine knowledge? It is knowledge of our relationship with Krishna. Sambandha Gyan. Who am I? Who is my eternal beloved? And what is the nature of my relationship in service to my eternal beloved, my Prananath, my Ishtadev. This is Divyam Jnanam. And here, Hriday Prakashita. Transcendental knowledge is a function which is already eternally inherent within us, but it needs to be awakened from someone who already has it awakened. And the example would be like the one given in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, wet wood and wood that's on fire. Within wood, our Gurudev explained, within wood, fire is present. It's already there. Tree is standing there in the sunlight for years and years and years, absorbing the energy of the sun through its leaves, through a process we know as photosynthesis. So it's taking in that energy from the sun and it's storing that energy inside of itself. So fire has made it. There's fire inside. Actually, Gurudev explained that there's fire in everything. It just needs to be somehow activated. But the fire has been stored inside that tree. But still there's so much water. There's sap, resins, and other things like that. Due to association with those who are burning with love and affection for Krishna, we can gradually remove, well, we won't, by their association, avidya vinasha jate. All ignorance is gradually destroyed. And then what is manifest? Our relationship with Krishna is manifest. In essence, we will become like them. Now, Srila Gurudev explained here, the divyam jnanam kshapayati iti diksha. Divyam jnana means this transcendental knowledge of our relationship, and kshapayati means removal of anarthas. So diksha, di means divyam jnanam, or transcendental knowledge, and ksha means kshapayati. So when you look at this sentence here, divya gyan hriday prema bhakti jaha hoite avidya vinasha jate. This is referring to what is divya gyan. What happens? As a function of the superior energy coming to us, touching us, as a resulting effect of that, then all of our avidya is destroyed. To think the other way around, Gurudev said, is incorrect. It is not possible for us to remove our anarthas and make ourselves qualified first, really. By what means can I free myself of my anarthas? I require something superior to remove that. So prema bhakti comes first in the form of its first particle known as Shraddha. That is transcendental faith. And that is the function of association with pure devotees. How does Shraddha come? Prema bhakti, Krishna bhakti janma mool hoy sadhu sangha. Krishna bhakti's first step is Shraddha, ado Shraddha. First of all, Shraddha, faith. This is the first particle of prem. So in essence, it is like the seed of prem. When Mahaprabhu is telling Rupa Goswami, Bhakti Lata Bij, most of us think it's a seed that he's giving us. But it's not exactly that. Every single one of our acharyas, if you look in all of their commentaries, have explained the meaning of this Bhakti Lata Bij. It doesn't mean that they're giving you a seed. It means they're giving you their association. And by that association, or sadhu sangha, something awakens in our heart. And what is that? That is the inclination, the tendency, or the desire to serve Krishna. So Bhakti Lata Bij is expressed as Krishna Seva Vasanam. It's not exactly a seed. It's not like Guru is giving you a mustard seed. Guru is giving you the association by which what is already inside, it's kind of like germinating. Something is required from the outside, the heat, the warmth, the water, the soil. There's something necessary to awaken what is inside. And then there's something necessary to continue the unfurlment, the growing process. You need nutrients, you need more water, you need sunlight, you need so many things to continue to grow. So this is what our Gurudev spoke about, was quite essential. If you think that on your own you can become qualified, by what process will you do that? We can't do it on our own. We require something superior from the descending process to awaken what is inside. So first, prema bhakti jaha hoite. By that, prema bhakti coming and manifesting first in the form of Shraddha, then gradually avidya vinasha jate. All ignorance is gradually destroyed. And even in the stages of bhakti, which are mentioned in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, ado shraddha, tata sadhu sanga, tab bhajana kriya, tato nartana vritti syat. First shraddha, then sadhu sanga. There's a sadhu sanga which brings the initial shraddha, but once you have some faith, then you really endeavor actively to receive sadhu sanga. Then bhajana kriya, following the instructions of the sadhus, of the Vaishnavas, of Shri Guru, then we engage in the activities which are favorable for awakening bhakti. That is called bhajana kriya. Tato nartana vritti syat. Thereafter, as a result of that, anarthas start to become eliminated. So it's not that you eliminate all of your anarthas first and then you're qualified for... It doesn't work like that. The higher taste is what brings about the elimination of the lower taste. Vikriditam brajavedubir idam cha vishnum shradhanvito nishiniyat atavarnayadya bhaktim param bhagavatim pratilabdya kamam hridrogam ashvapahinot chirena dhira. What is the cure for the disease of lust in one's heart? That's a question for all of you. What is the cure for the disease of lust in the heart? Hridrogam. What is the cure for that? Whoever gets this right, not Sudevi, not Jiva Pavana, Prabhu. Will get a bowl of Shrikhand. Anyone? Yes, but specifically. Yes, but specifically. What is Śrīmad Bhagavatam? Technically not reading Devaki, but pretty close. Shraddha anvito nishiniyat atavarnayadya. Hearing from that person who is free from lust, with faith and with regard. That person who is actively associated, practically, in those pastimes. By hearing from them with faith, with honor and regard, even though my heart is full of lust, that is the cure to remove the lust. So if I don't hear those pastimes, then how is lust going to be removed? You don't get rid of the anartha before the medicine. Before the medicine comes. The medicine comes and that gets rid of the anartha. Right? Syat Krishna nama charitari sitapya vidyapito patapta rasanasya narochikanu. Krishna's names. They are like the medicine for the disease of jaundice that we have. Chanting the names of Krishna. So the names are coming and fixing the disease. So this is also correct. Hearing from a qualified person with a qualified mood means sincerity, humility, honesty. But still my heart is full of lust. Otherwise, why would this verse be told in Śrīmad Bhagavatam? To hear Rasa Lila section of the Bhagavatam. How is it possible? Because that higher taste, the transcendental kama means transcendental prem, but it actually can be referred to as lust. Kama means lust. So when you hear about the prem of the gopis, love and affection for Krishna, then that will take the place of the mundane lust that we have in our heart. By the higher taste, then the lower taste will be removed. And Mahaprabhu states the same thing in the first verse of Śrī Satyavrata Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadabagni nirvapanam. It's not that we can clean the dust of our hearts on our own first and then be qualified for Harinam. Param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Harinam is doing the cleaning of the dust in the heart. And our Gurudev would give the example of Sobari Rishi. He's sitting there in a tributary called a hrad. So where the river kind of has a lake to the side, that was the hrad, and Kaliya was living there. Here in Vrindavan. Why? Because Garud had been cursed that he can't come here by Sobari Rishi. He had been cursed. So Kaliya was being, hunted by Garuda. Kaliya was the king of snakes, Garuda is the king of eagles, and eagles naturally hunt snakes. So Kaliya sought the safest place, that was here, where Garuda could not come. And he remained in Vrindavan. But Sobari Rishi was doing what? He was here, doing austerities, under the water of Jamuna for 60,000 years. That means he's controlling his breathing. He's not breathing. How powerful was he as a yogi? 60,000 years. Most of the people we hear about who do austerities for 60,000 years, they attain perfection. Valmiki, he attained perfection. Those gopis who were doing Katyayani Vrat, they attained perfection. All of those Rishi-chari, Muni-charis, gopis, there were rishis and munis at the time of Sri Ramchandra. 60,000 years, intense austerities, they became gopis. Sobari Rishi, 60,000 years. But he did not take shelter of any Vaishnava. He did not follow the process of bhakti. He was only restraining his senses. One day he opened his eyes to see something very, not so exciting. It's just two fish in the act of mating, but anyhow, whatever was at the bottom of his pot, which he had repressed, it was like it was stirred and all of that dust and muck came up again. Immediately lust was inflamed in his heart, and he got out looking like, 60,000 years under the water, you could imagine. Went to the nearest kingdom and told the king, I want to marry your daughter. The king was like, I promised my daughters they could choose who they want to marry. And he looked at himself and he's like, I know what you're thinking. By his yogic power, he transformed himself into a very strong, handsome, beautiful young man. And all of the king's daughters, all 50 of them, wanted to marry him immediately, and he enjoyed with them for thousands of years. This was the result of his 60,000 years of intense austerity in Vrindavan, having made aparad to Garuda, the dear associate of the Lord, and having not been under the guidance of any Vaishnava. So on one's own power, we don't have the capacity to remove our anarthas. We can just still them, but it doesn't mean they're not there. But we hear in this bhajan, Ebara Kuruna Koro Vaishnava Goshai. What is the nature of the Vaishnava? Gangara Parashohele Paschate Pavan Darshane Pavitra Koro Eto Maragum. If one takes bath in the Ganga, then all one's sins can be removed. But just by having darshan of a pure Vaishnava, it is their quality that millions of lifetimes of anarthas can be dissipated. Anarthas means those things which are unfavorable for the attainment of our goal. What is our goal? Krishna Bhakti Rasa. Specifically, Radha Dasyam. So now that I quoted that prayer, I just wanted to add one little thing. I've told it before, but for those of you who are maybe haven't heard this before, Śrīla Bhaktivedānta Gosvāmī Mahārāja explained what does it mean when we say Ebe Jash Bhushuk Tribhuvana. Your fame should be spread all over the three worlds. Ebe Jash Bhushuk Tribhuvana. It doesn't mean that I should be looking at Jiva Pavana Prabhu, oh, you should spread Gurudev's fame throughout the world. And Anjali, oh, you should spread his fame throughout the world. And Rudra Gupta, you should. He said this is an instruction to the heart, that by my behavior, by my activities, by my representation, my Gurudev's glory should be spread throughout the world. If someone sees, oh, look at how this disciple is behaving, look at how this disciple is representing, and they become inspired by that, then automatically they will respect the guru of that personality. He's like this, imagine his guru. She's like that, imagine her guru. How great must her guru be? By this, Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Mahārāja explained, this is how the grace or the glories of guru will be spread throughout the world. I can't expect or demand that anyone else does it. They will do what they will do, but I can do my best to do my part. To the best of my ability, I should try to be the best disciple I can be for my Gurudev, in a way that he will be proud of me, and in a way that others will want to glorify him. By that, his glories will be spread throughout the three worlds. This is what Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Mahārāja explained. So now we're going to sing Ebaro Karuna Koro, praying for the mercy of the Vaishnavas, page 44. Oh, Devi Dasi Ramya, Radhe Radhe, long time no see. Oh, I haven't. It's because I've been looking that way and not looking down. But this is the first time I've seen it in a while. Radhe Radhe. Okay. Ebaro Kuruna Kuro, Vaishnava Goshai. Page 44 by Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur. Ebaro karuna koro Vaishnava Gosai. Ebaro karuna koro Vaishnava Gosai. Patita pavana tumhara dine ke hona. Patita pavana tumhara dine ke hona. Aharoni kate gele Papo dure jai. Kaharo nikote gele Papo dure jai. He mono doyalo Prabhu Eva kotha. Hey mono doyalo Prabhu Eva kotha. Gangaro parasya hoile paschate pavo. Gangaro parasya hoile paschate pavo. Darshane pavo এ তোমারো দর্শনে পবিত্র করো এ তোমারো হরি স্থানে অপরাধে তারে হরি নাম হরি স্থানে অপরাধে তারে হরি নাম তোমা স্থানে অপরাধে নাহি কোরে রাম তোমা স্থানে অপরাধে নাহি কোরে রাম তোমার হৃদয়ে সদা গোবিন্দ বিশ্রাম তোমার হৃদয়ে সদা গোবিন্দ বিশ্রাম গোবিন্দ কুহে নমঃ বৈষ্ণব রাম গোবিন্দ কুহে নমঃ বৈষ্ণব রাম প্রতি জন্মে করি আশা চরণের ধূলি প্রতি জন্মে করি আশা চরণের ধূলি নরোত্তমে করুণা আপনারো নরোত্তমে করুণা আপনারো এবার করুণা করো বৈষ্ণব গোসাই এবার করুণা করো বৈষ্ণব গোসাই পতিত পাবন তোমার বিনে কেহ নাই পতিত পাবন তোমার বিনে কেহ নাই বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর জয় বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর প্রভু কৃপা করো মোরে দয়া করো 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 वैष्णव ठाकुर की जय। So in this bhajan, it is saying that the quality, the great quality of the Vaishnava or Shri Guru is also a Vaishnava, is that just by seeing them one is purified. In the Shastras, in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Yudhishthira Maharaj is glorifying Vidura, if I got that right. He's saying tirthi kurbanti tirthani, that the pure devotee is a tirtha, is in essence the holy place unto themselves. Bhaktivedānta Thakur confirms this in one of his bhajans. He says, every place the pure devotee is, that place is non-different from Vrindavan. The mountains there are non-different from Govardhan. The lakes are like Radhakund, Shyamakund. The rivers are like Jamuna. People come to the Dham and deposit their sins in the Dham. And the pure devotees come to the Dham, to the holy place, and do what? By their presence. It's not like those sins are washed away. They are destroyed by their presence. People come and leave their sins there, and then the pure devotees come and poof, those sins are destroyed by their presence. How powerful, how wonderful are the pure devotees. When I just mentioned before, our Srila Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja especially manifested this quality in New Braj, or at least made us aware of it. He's always present within Vrindavan. This is his nature. Kalam Nayad, without cessation, Tishtam Brajetad Anuragi Jananugami, following under the guidance of an eternal associate of the Lord, doing what? Tannavaru Pacharitari Sikittananu, always remembering Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes, and deeply absorbing oneself in them, remembering these pastimes 24 hours a day in sequence. Gurudev was already doing this. But when he would start giving Harikatha in New Braj, he would say, leave everything else that you are absorbed in. Give me all of your senses and come with me. Now we will bathe 3 times in Jamuna. 1, 2, 3. And he say, Giriraj is here. Radhakund, Shyamakund are there. Jamuna Maharani is there. This is non-different from Vrindavan. New Braj, same as Braj. And then he would start telling the sweet pastimes of Krishna. What would happen at that moment? Amazing miracles. Every year, you can ask any devotee who lived in New Braj or who lives there. The jasmines generally would bloom at the same time every year. But our Gurudev would sometimes come in the beginning of June or sometimes in the middle of June. And the jasmines would wait to bloom literally 2 days before he would arrive. And so all the jasmine bushes would be full of flowers when he would arrive. And when he would bring us to Vrindavan and start speaking the sweet pastimes of Krishna and tell us, this is non-different from Vrindavan. We witnessed it on more than one occasion. Suddenly, from the sky, a very slight drizzle would start. Just slight. And the sky would turn a purplish hue. And then you would hear the peacocks, Nandagopal Prabhu's peacocks. They would start making their sounds. You can all make your best peacock sound. I can't do it very well, but anyhow. So they would start making their sounds and we'd all be looking around and going, my God, what's going on here? And then he would just bathe us in the sweet nectar of Krishna's Vrindavan pastimes. Either Yashoda Damodar or Krishna and the gopis, any pastimes. The pure devotee is themselves a holy place. Therefore, just like Tulsi Maharani, we say that her base is Vrindavan and we circumambulate. Right? Vrindaye Tulsi Deva Priyaye Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavaktaye Namo Namah. She can awaken Krishna Bhakti in our hearts. In the same way, we can circumambulate the pure devotee, Shri Guru. Also, wherever he is standing, that place is a holy place. Sudevi, can you share just again what Srila Gurudev said about Prabhupada when you went to the Venice beach? Radhe Radhe.
Dandavat Pranam Vaishnavas.
Radhe Radhe.
So when Srila Gurudev in 1996 first came to Los Angeles, at one point he went for a morning walk at Venice Beach. Venice Beach is not what it looks like in the movies. It's really, really dirty, and there's all kinds of like drug people around, and I don't know if you call them bums anymore, but just kind of homeless, kind of, it's a pretty sketchy place. You don't want to be there after dark, and it's quite dirty. So we were there, and we were walking right by the ocean on the white sand, and Gurudev was just walking, and devotees were asking questions, and then he stopped and he said, "Did Swamiji, did your Śrīla Prabhupada, did he walk here?" And they said, "Yes, Śrīla Gurudev." And he said, "In this spot, right here?" They said, "Yes, Gurudev, he walked right here." And he raised his eyebrows and he said, "Oh, this is a holy tirtha. All should immediately do Dandavat Pranam." And all the devotees went down and started offering their pranam. I was kind of shocked, but I did too. And then Śrīla Gurudev, he began to explain that anywhere that the pure devotee has touched their feet, where they've given Harikatha, where they've even glanced, that place becomes a holy tirtha. The holy dham is different. It's not necessarily called a holy tirtha. Well, it is because so many sadhus come there. But actually a tirtha is where the sadhus go. So Śrīla Gurudev said, "This is a holy tirtha, immediately do kirtan." So everyone started chanting Hare Krishna, and we started dancing around Gurudev, doing parikrama around him. And he was dancing with his arms in the air, and it was the morning, so the morning sun was coming up, and we were all dancing around Gurudev. And then he said, "Jaya Prabhupada," so everybody was like, "Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya." And it was just extraordinary. It was so beautiful. I had never looked at Venice Beach as a place where I wanted to get down on my hands and knees and put my head on that ground. What to speak of even thinking of it as a holy tirtha. And now we know that our Gurudev said everywhere that he went, he wanted to go to those places to put his head in the dust of the feet of our Śrīla Prabhupada. This isn't lip service. He did this everywhere. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to go to those places, touch those places, and inspire, re-infuse the disciples of Śrīla Prabhupada who had lost contact, who had fallen away, who had given up chanting or just had no inspiration left. He wanted to re-inspire them. He used to say, "I want you to be like at the time of your Gurudev. Why do you have long hair? Why are you wearing jeans? Where is your tulsi mala? Where is your tilak?" And Gurudev would, with a very loving mood, chastise them. But let them know what your Gurudev gave is still there. All you have to do is have a little bit of association, and again, where you left off, it will pick up. Don't be hopeless. Everywhere around us are holy tirthas. Everywhere around us is the mercy of Śrīla Prabhupada, his books, his temples, his devotees, Mahaprasad. Everywhere around we can find that mercy. But somehow or other we have fallen away, and Śrīla Gurudev came to re-inspire. Oh, wake up, wake up. You have become weak-hearted. But don't be weak, be strong, be hopeful. Everything is there. So it was very, very important, that lesson, that holy tirtha, those holy tirthas, Śrīla Prabhupada made all over the world, in Russia, in so many different places where we wouldn't expect. We went to Red Square at the Kremlin. We went there in Moscow, and we sat there with Shripad Nemi Maharaj, and we remembered Śrīla Prabhupada, and we glorified him as much as Badhajivas can. Not that Nemi Maharaj, Haribol. But the point is that when we went there, we didn't go there just to see, oh, this is the famous Kremlin. No, Śrīla Prabhupada walked there. This is a holy tirtha. So.
Also, I'd like you to share regarding what we were speaking about before. What is the qualification of guru versus the qualification of the disciple? when you met Gurudev and you told him that you're not qualified to accept?
So I've told you this before, but Srila Gurudev, I was having a darshan and he said, oh, you should come to me tomorrow at 7 in the morning and don't eat anything. And I got so excited, I ran back to my friends, oh, I'm going to have breakfast with Nārāyaṇa Mahārāja, you know, and they're like, what? He doesn't just have breakfast with young girls. What are you talking about? And I said, no. He told me to come in the morning at 7 and not to eat anything. What else would it be? It's breakfast. They said, no, he's going to give you initiation. So I ran back to him and I said, Srila Gurudev, I can't accept initiation from you. And he said, oh, why not? And I said, I'm newly married and I'm not following all principles. And Srila Gurudev, he looked at me and he said, oh, I am aware these things are going on, but how will you give it up? Without a higher taste, why would you want to? He said, if you have already given these things up, then you should be giving initiation, not accepting. So without help, how will I do it? And then he said, anyhow, initiation first happens when Gurudev first glances at his disciple. Everything else is just a formality. And it's true, I knew that I was his and that he was mine. But I thought, oh, I need to be qualified for mercy. Well, if we're qualified, then we don't need mercy. That's what he was saying. Oh, if you already have, come past all of these anarthas, you're already in bhajana kriya, you're already going up, then what do you need help for? No, right now in your fallen state, how will you come up without a higher taste and without help, without mercy? Mercy flows where that person is most needy, not where someone thinks, oh, I can't accept your mercy because I'm too low. That means that my pride is making me think that it's more than my Gurudev's ability to give me mercy. No, I can't accept your mercy because I'm not qualified. And Gurudev is so kind, saying, but how will you become qualified without mercy? So what Kishori Mohan Prabhu was saying in Sri Guru Charana Padma, there's that verse where it says that first prema bhakti comes and then all avidya goes away. It means mercy comes first. And sometimes we think, oh, I need more mercy. Gurudev said, my mercy is like the sun. It's there and it's available for everyone. But if someone is staying in their house, then what can I do? They don't avail themselves to that mercy. But my mercy is there. It's there equally. And how we accept that mercy and how we become loyal to that mercy, then Srila Gurudev responds accordingly. But if we just stay in our house, in our dark space, in our cave and think, oh, I'm unqualified, oh, I don't deserve mercy, and we have all of this pessimism and hopeless depression, then this is like an inverted kind of pride. It's another kind of arrogance that makes us think that we are being humble. Humility means, I am so needy for your mercy. Please help me. This is humility. I need you, and without you, I can't make one step.
Thank you. Regarding what Sudevi told before, Srila Gurudev would explain and would tell a particular verse which he wanted all of his disciples to know practically every single day. Probably quoted only second to the most prominent shlok that he would quote every day. The most prominent, I think, what I have seen was Anyabhilashita Shunyam, the verse defining pure bhakti. But after that, the most common quoted verse of Gurudev was the first verse of Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction by Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī. Bācho vegam, manasakrodha vegam, jivva vegam, udarapashta vegam, etan veganyo vishaheta dhira, sarvam apimam pritivim sashishyat. This is the verse defining who's qualified to accept disciples all over the world. Sarvam apimam pritibim sasishyat. Shishyat means disciples. Pritibim means in the world. They're qualified to accept disciples all over the world. Who are those personalities? Those persons who can control the urge to speak. Bacho Begam. How do you control the urge to speak? Not by being silent, but by engaging the speaking tendency in glorifying Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. Mano Begam. Who can control the mind? Only someone who's engaging everything in the service of Krishna exclusively. Otherwise, it's impossible. Krodha Begam. Anger. Who can control their anger? Not any Badha Jiva. Very, very difficult. Gurudev therefore said, don't be angry. Because if you're angry, then you will see everything in red. And if any sadhu or high-class Vaishnava comes by, you will also curse them. So be careful, don't be angry. And if devotees would start expressing anger, feeling anger, then they would say, Gurudev, what should I do? I'm always angry, I'm so angry. He would say, every time you become angry, as soon as you start becoming angry, drink a glass of water. So every time they started feeling anger, what did they do? They ran to get a glass of water. And in the process of getting water, they're remembering Gurudev and his instructions. This in itself is purifying, and it would reduce their anger. And of course, the water would cool them. Jifva Begam, Udara Upashta Begam. Who can control the urges of the tongue to want to taste everything, the urges of the belly to want to fill your belly, and the sexual, sensual urges? Who can control all of these urges? Only someone who is experiencing the higher taste, loving service to Krishna. As Sri Jamunacharya said, Srila Prabhupada would often quote this. And I never really understood it when I was younger, but a little bit more now. After having tasted the nectar of bhakti rasa, when the thought of sensual enjoyment or sexual enjoyment would manifest before me, immediately my lips would curl with distaste and I would spit at the thought. Well, this makes sense from someone who is experiencing or has experience of a higher taste. That's like saying, if all I've ever had before out of desperation was the stool in the gutters, because I had nothing else. But now I have a guarantee of Mahaprasad, wonderful Mahaprasad, 3 times a day. Rice, dal, halava, puris, pakoras, laddus, rasagullas, sandesh, sweet rice, pizza, lasagna, cheesecake, and rasamalai. Whatever your favorite thing is. All of the things we've been offering all of this time. You have that. If I were to offer you that, what you previously were eating before, immediately your lips would curl with this taste and you would spit at the thought. This is the proof of actual higher taste. This is the proof of real darshan, that any of the thing of the lower nature will be distasteful. Or, as our Srila Prabhupada so aptly wrote, for whom the material world holds no charm whatsoever. So our Srila Gurudev would quote this verse, Vacho Begam, Manasakrodha Begam, Jifva Begam, Udarapashta Begam, Etan Began Yo Vishaheta Dhira. Whoever is sober, dhira, and is able to not become controlled by those urges, but rather they can control those urges, they're qualified to make disciples all over the world. So when Gurudev told Sudevi, if you have already given up all of these things, if you're already able to control all of these urges, you should be giving initiation, not accepting. It's a reference to directly from Rupa Gosvāmī, the very first verse of Upadeshamrita. If you've already given it all up, then you should be giving initiation, not accepting. That's the qualification for someone who can give it. So in that connection, he's saying, without the higher taste, how would you give up the lower taste? Why would you even want to give it up? Gurudev told this to Sudevi before initiation. And so this really clarifies that point, that really the anarthas are removed by the process of association with sadhus, by the process of diksha. Divyam jnanam, transcendental knowledge, hriday prakashita, is manifested in the heart, by which avidya vinasha jate. All ignorance is gradually eliminated and destroyed. So it was a very powerful instruction which Gurudev gave practically, but which has its foundation in all of our shastras. So I really wanted to share that with you today. Uh-oh. Do you notice the connection cutting out? Does anyone else know it? Notice it? Sometimes the internet in the US just doesn't work very well, but India has it down.
Yeah, no, it's not for other people. And maybe something's happening in the
Okay.
Yeah, it seems something here. Sorry, honey, I think she has it accurate.
You know, India will give you 3 gigabytes a day for 500 rupees of high-speed internet. That's like $7. 3 gigabytes a day. That's different than what you get in other places. So, all right. If we can use it in the service of Krishna, then all the better. So that verse that I quoted, Vacho Vegam, and the other one I quoted, Anyabhilashita Shunyam, these are 2 of the verses that Srila Gurudev explained will save your life. He told this to Bhumipati Prabhu in New York. He gave him 4. I'll tell the other 2 at another time, but these verses will save your life, he said. And Bhumipati Prabhu shared them with us. I'm pretty sure. So now we will call out for the mercy and the grace of Srila Rupa Goswami. Shuniyachi Sadhu Mukhe Bole Sarvajan, page 51. By Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Shuniyachi sadhu mukhe bole sarva jana Shri Rupa kripayo nile yugala charana Shuniyachi sadhu mukhe bole sarva jana Shri Rupa kripaya nile jugala charana Ha ha Prabhu Sanātana Gora Parivaru Ha ha Prabhu Sanātana Gora Parivaru Sabe mili mancha purno Goro ho yamaro Sabe mili mancha purno Goro ho yamaro Shri Rupero kripa jeno Yama pratiho Se padaya shrayo ja Se mahashoya Shri Rupe নাম প্রতি হোয় সে পদয়াশ্রয় যা সে মহাশয় প্রভু লোকনাথ কবে সঙ্গে লয়া যাবে প্রভু লোকনাথ পদে সঙ্গে লয়া যাবে শ্রী রূপের পাদ পদ্মে ওরে সমর্পিলে শ্রী রূপের পাদ পদ্মে ওরে সমর্পিলে হেন কি হইবে মোর নরম সখী গণে অনুগত নরতমে করিবে শাসনে হেন কি হইবে মোর নরম সখী গণে অনুগত নরতমে করিবে শাসনে শুনিয়াছি সাধু মুখে বলে সর্বজন শ্রীরূপ কৃপায় মিলে যুগল চরণ শুনিয়াছি সাধু মুখে বলে সর্বজন শ্রীরূপ কৃপায় रूप सनातन जय रूप सनातन 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 प्रभु हे 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 श्रील रूप गोस्वामी पाद की जय श्रील सनातन गोस्वामी पाद की जय श्री सत गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय श्री रूपानुग गौरी गुरुवर्ग की जय We have spoken so much about Śrīla Rupa Goswami already, in many different ways, on many different days, yet his glories are unlimited. But I want to tell you something about Śrī Nityananda Prabhu and our Gurudev. Some of you may be familiar with it, but we're going to sing to Śrī Nityananda Prabhu first, calling out for his mercy. Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Shushitala, page 58 by Śrīla Narottam Das Thakur. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Shushitara Nitai Pada Kamala Koti Chandra Shushitara Je Chaya Jagat Jura Je Chaya Jagat Jura Heno Nitai Dine Bhai Radha Krishna Paitela Heno Nitai Dine Bhai Radha Krishna Paitela Dridha Kori Dharo Nitai Dridha Kori Dharo Nitai Se Sambandha Nahi Ja Vritha Janmo Gelo Tar Se Sambandha Nahi Ja Vritha Janmo Gelo Tar Se Pashu Nitaina Morilo Mukhe Mojilo Sansaro Sukhe Nitaina Morilo Mukhe Mojilo Sansaro Sukhe Vidyakule Ikori Deta Vidyakule Ikori Deta Ahankare Moto Hoya Nitai Pado Pashoriya Ahankare Moto Hoya Nitai Pado Pashoriya Asatyere Satya Kori Asatyere Satya Kori Nitayer Karuna Have Braje Radha Krishna Pave Nitayer Karuna Have Braje Radha Krishna Pave Dharo Nitay Charan Dharo Nitay Charan Dharo Nitay Charan aharo sevako nitya nitai podo sada kuruyashu nitai podo sada kuruyashu narotam puro dukhi nitai more koro sukhi narotam puro dukhi nitai more koro sukhi rakho ranga charanero pashu rakho ranga charanero pashu rakho ranga charanero pashu rakho ranga charanero pashu nitai pado pamala koti chandro shushikaro nitai pado pamala koti chandro shushikaro je chaya jagat dura je chaya jagat dura je chaya jagat dura je chaya Udridha kori bharoni tarpa Udridha kori bharoni tarpa Jaya Nityanandara Jaya Nityanandara Nityanandara Jaya Nityanandara Jaya Nityanandara Nityanandara Maje Nityanandara Maje Nityanandara Nitai He 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 Patipada Śrī Nityananda Prabhu ki jai Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai. So I've already told this on Srila Gurudev's appearance day, disappearance day time, but it has been a little while since then, and there are some new viewers who I want to also share this with, and I also like to repeat it to remember the mercy of Śrī Nityananda Prabhu. Sometimes we say Guru Nityananda. So we've all heard the pastime of Śrī Raghunath Das Goswāmī, who ran to Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu told him, don't be like a crazy person. Don't be like a mad person. Go home and be like normal in the world, in a way that no one can detect what's going on inside. But you should always remember Krishna, serve Krishna. And when the time is right, Krishna will make all arrangements for you. This was the instruction of Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Das had run to him, but he sent him home. So he did just what Mahaprabhu ordered. Because of his attraction to Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had no attraction to anything of this material world. Gurudev said they even tried to marry him to Miss Universe, more than Miss Universe. And he had no attraction. They wanted to chain him up, to keep him at home. But because of his attraction to the Lord, they realized if we cannot chain him or bind him with all of these material allurements, then there's nothing that can really hold him here. After some time, they allowed him to go, with permission, to see Śrī Nityananda Prabhu, but he had to have accompaniment. So he was chaperoned. From a distance he stood, kind of hiding, seeing the most amazing, beautiful scene. We say it in the evening Arti Bhajan, Bahu Koti Chandrajini Vadana Ujval. What is it? And also here, Nitai Padakamala Koti Chandra Shushitala. Millions of moons. How beautiful is Śrī Nityananda Prabhu. How cooling is his presence. What kind of cooling? The cooling that cools the burning heart of that person who has been burning in the fire of samsara, in this endless ocean of fire since time without beginning. Millions of moons are cooling that burning heart. Raghunath was standing at a distance. Nityananda Prabhu sees him or is signaled by someone. Raghunath is here. He starts calling, Raghunath, Raghunath, come here. Only a thief keeps themselves hidden and at a distance. Raghunath came before Śrī Nityananda Prabhu, did Dandavat Pranam at his lotus feet, and Nityananda Prabhu placed his 2 lotus feet upon the head of Raghunath Das Goswami, removing all of his bindings of this world in a moment. And then he engaged him in something to give him further sukriti. What? Serve all of the Vaishnavas. So there was a big festival known as Panihati or Chidadahi Mahotsava. So he served flat rice and yogurt to all of the Vaishnavas. A big feast was there. And then he was given unto the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Prabhu told him, you have tried to steal what is my property. Don't you know you cannot go directly to Mahaprabhu? He is my property. You cannot steal. But he gave him the blessings. Now you can go. So Nityananda Prabhu is the medium by which one can attain the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is our process. So once upon a time, many years ago, in Hawaii, this devotee told us his story. Afterward, he met with a very, very severe accident, and he now cannot remember any of that. But before the accident is when he told us, so we're remembering it for him. This boy was 10 years old when his mother joined the Hare Krishnas and took shelter of Srila Prabhupada. In fact, he just had his birthday a few days ago. I think he's 10, must be about 57 or 58 now. And it was in the winter time. It was cold in Los Angeles at the time. And they went into Prabhupada's room for darshan. All of the devotees were there. It was quite chilly, which it can be a little bit in the winter, a little bit. And everyone was bundled up except for this boy, whose name was John, I think. So he was sitting there, no shirt, straight, very straight. And Prabhupada looked at him. You aren't cold? He said, no, Srila Prabhupada. He said, oh, like Raghunath Das Goswami, I will call you Raghunath. So Prabhupada gave him that name from that. And he was always enthusiastic, inspired, but not really going anywhere in his path of bhakti. Kind of just floating around on the fringes. There was a certain point in time when he was younger where he was heading up the Friends of Lord Krishna program, folk program, and he was so fired up. But then that was taken out from under him and he lost his enthusiasm. But he was always associating with hanging out with devotees, and he loves kirtan like that. But, just floating, And After some time, he saw that there was a very dynamic thing happening in Hawaii. He was living there in Hawaii, and a dynamic thing was happening. What was happening? Hundreds, if not thousands of devotees, many of whom he knew for many years, were being re-inspired in their bhakti. Who grew up in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, who might have become a little bit weak in their practices or their enthusiasm. Seniors, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, young people, children, new people, old people, men and women, all races. So many were excited. Not all races, yes. There's human race, and then all of the different manifestations within that human race. So he was also hanging out with the crowd. And at one point, he was outside Gurudev's room, laughing and joking as he always would. That's what he would do. And from inside the room, Gurudev started calling, "Raghunath! Raghunath! Come here!" He went inside Gurudev's room and he offered his obeisance at Gurudev's feet. Gurudev placed his feet on the head of Raghunath and was pressing. Raghunath said, "He was pressing my head to the floor very hard. I could not move." The way he made the impression, it was like this. Of course, Guru is the heaviest substance. Guru means heavy. So if Gurudev didn't want him to be able to get out, he wouldn't be able to. So Gurudev had his feet on his head and he said, "Will you take? Will you take?" And Raghunath said, "Yes, yes." And then and there, Gurudev gave him Diksha, the Diksha mantras. He never received Diksha. He received Harinam from Srila Prabhupada, but he had never received Diksha. These mantras which build sambandha, relationship with Guru, Gauranga, Radha and Krishna, and which feed the maturation of our chanting of Harinam. They help to assist the growth of our service mood to Sri Harinam Prabhu, because they're relationship building mantras. Gurudev had his feet on his head. "Will you take? Will you take?" And he said yes. And then Gurudev then and there gave him the Diksha mantras. He had been a devotee for so many years, but just weak. And Gurudev gave him that mercy. In this case, we can see very clearly that Gurudev was embodying the mood, embodying the pastime even of Nityananda Prabhu with Raghunath Das Goswami. We should understand that all Shri Gurus are manifestations of Nityananda Prabhu, who is Akhanda Guru Tattva. They are manifestations of Nityananda Prabhu. Someone asked Gurudev once, "You have Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu, where is Nityananda Prabhu?" He said, "Nityananda Prabhu is manifesting directly before you in the form of Guru." This is where Nityananda Prabhu manifests in our life. It's not that we don't acknowledge him as his own individual personality, but we should understand that that aspect of Guru Tattva is taking a form in front of us. Our Shri Guru is manifesting that Gurutva of Nityananda Prabhu. So he told us this, and we were like, wow, that's amazing. Gurudev was in essence channeling that mood and gave him that mercy. Subsequently, due to his accident, he could not remember that story, but because he had told it to someone else, now we have that remembrance of him telling us that interaction. So it is essential that we should share what interactions we've had with Sri Gurudev, so that in case something happens to us one day, not just us, all of us, each one of us have received at least one, if not many, jewels, and we don't know which jewel will have its impact on the listener. Each person has their own tastes, and there might be one thing that just hits us in such a way that we've heard from someone else. That one thing that is required to cause tears to flow from the eyes, the heart to reignite. Like this. Oof. that one spark that's necessary to awaken us again to our inspiration. If we share the beautiful interactions, the beautiful lessons, the teachings of our Guru Varga, we don't know which one is going to say, boom, now's the time for you to wake up. Srila Gurudev said this, Srila Bhaktivedānta Maharaj said this, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj said this, Srila Prabhupada said this, Param Gurudev said this, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj said this, Srila Bhakti Raksha Sridhar Maharaj said this. Whatever one it is that touches us, we don't know which one, but each one of us has our weak point. That point where Gurudev will go, boom, in one of his many forms. Same wine, different bottle. One of them might just touch us in a certain way, and that's what we need to rekindle our spiritual enthusiasm. So I want to share that katha with you. Nityananda Prabhu is manifesting also in the forms of our Guru Varga. And the disciple should see that Sri Guru is either a manifestation of Nityananda Prabhu or as a manifestation of Nityananda Prabhu, and in our Rupanuga Guru Varga also simultaneously as a dasi or maidservant of Srimati Radhika under the guidance of Sri Rupa Manjari. Let me just check here. Will you take? Will you take? Anyhow, when he told us that, we were a little bit jealous in a way. How Gurudev just placed his feet on his head. We were so happy for him. I think Sake Kalaya Gaura Mudaram, calling out for the mercy of Sri Sachinandan Gaura Hari. This particular prayer is glorifying the amazing beauty of Sachinandan Gaura Hari. Why do I keep saying Sachinandan Gaura Hari and not Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? There's a reason for that. In the eternal, transcendental pastimes, Nitya Lila, there is a section, you can say, known as Svetadvip or Navadvip. And in those pastimes, Gauranga is eternally present with his devotees. Sachinandan Gaura Hari, transcendental Navadvip. It is pre-sannyas lila. He became known as Sri Krishna Chaitanya after sannyas. So this pre-sannyas lila is the Nitya lila. And then there are the other lilas. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Puri, in the Gambhir, he is completely absorbed, practically privately, endeavoring to taste the bhavs of Srimati Radhika, the moods of love and affection that she has for Krishna. But in transcendental Navadvip, you see all of these pastimes, very similar to Krishna's in a lot of ways, especially in his baby Leela and his young boy Leela, how naughty he was, how brilliant he was, how as Nimai Pandit he was defeating everyone. So there's some speciality in there. Sachinandan Gaura Hari is referring to that personality here. So some manifestations of the Lord, they take the form, what we call pastime forms. And then there's the Nitya Lila form. That Nitya Lila form is Bhavuk Nimai also. In that Navadvip Dham. So these Navadvip pastimes are the Nitya Lila. And our Gurudev put a lot of focus on clarifying these points. Because there's Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. And then there's Sachinandan Gaurahari in Navadvip. But which one is considered in essence superior? Well, Gurudev would refer to the Nitya Lila aspect. Nitya Navadvip Dham, which is also considered Gupta Vrindavan, non-different. The speciality of our line, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada mentions, I believe it's in the introduction to his Brahma Samhita, is that when you attain to perfection, you can either go to Gaur Lila or Radha Krishna Lila, or, surprisingly, attain positions simultaneously within both Leelas. So we see, for example, Rupa Goswami, Raghunatha, Sanatan, all of our Goswamis, they have relationship with Mahaprabhu in his Leela and also in Radha Krishna Leela. So for those who are more inclined toward the Gauranga aspect, because he's also non-different from Krishna, that can be your eternal destination. Or there can be Radha Krishna destination, or both simultaneously. How is it possible that a singular soul can be in two places simultaneously? Not just two. Krishna is manifesting himself in unlimited universes, as Shyamarani Didi would tell that first class from Srila Prabhupada. In the first second in the first universe, his pastimes begin. And then in the the first second in the second universe, which would be the second after the first second in the first universe. Yeah, it was always confusing to me like that too. So, Krishna's pastimes begin. And then in the next universe, in the next second. But these ones are still going on, these are still going on, these are still going on. And he is not alone. He is manifesting himself unlimitedly, along with his Dham, along with his eternal associates. If Vrindavan is manifesting, what would Vrindavan be without Nanda and Yashoda and the cows and the gopis and the cowherd-boys and Yamuna and Govardhan? What would Vrindavan be? So, unlimited manifestations of those same personalities are going on. And when we realize, hopefully one day, our eternal relationship with Krishna in Vrindavan, we will also be serving Krishna unlimitedly. As he's expanding, we will be expanding. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada explained this too. Even in the material sense, if you shoot a beam, a single particle of light, known as a photon, at a certain kind of grid, it will manifest, that single photon will manifest in 2 points at the same time. If that can be done with material science, imagine transcendental science. Unlimitedly more amazing than we could ever imagine with our material minds, intelligence, and consciousness. Yes, read the introduction to Sri Brahma Samhita by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. So, Nitya Navadip Dham, there they know him as Sachinandan Gaurahari. The sannyas pastime of Sachinandan Gaurahari, leaving Navadvip and going to take sannyas. That ghat where he jumped into in Ganga is called Nirdoi Ghat, means no mercy. Nirdoi, without mercy. Because all of the residents of Navadvip, their hearts broke in separation as he went to take sannyas. So, having this kind of understanding, it's a refinement. And although we acknowledge and revel in and glorify in amazement the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, all of his pastimes, Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, Antya Lila, still there are different specialities or conceptions. Just like in Vrindavan, Srimati Radhika is known as Vrishabhanu Nandini. But then there is the conception of Samyogini Radhika and Biyogini Radhika. The one that goes to Kurukshetra. That is a manifestation of the original. the one who's always weeping in separation, looking off in that direction, is also not the same as the Vrishabhanu Nandini, Srimati Radhika, who's always reveling in divine pastimes with Krishna in Vrindavan. So there are certain specialities. In the same way, Krishna also has similar aspects, and so does Shachinandan Gaurahari. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu aspect is like this other aspect, Viyogini. What is Puri compared to? Jagannath Puri is compared to Dwarka. And even when the devotees are pulling Jagannath from the temple toward Gundicha Mandir, what is that representing? That it is the gopis bringing Krishna back to Vrindavan on the chariot of their minds with the ropes of their love and affection. Everything has such deep, deep, deep meaning. You should read the Rathayatra books of our Srila Gurudev, how deep he goes into this tattva, the essence of what it is all about. It's also there in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, but there are many other kathas and details which Srila Gurudev has revealed from different shastras and different acharyas. So there's a speciality in this aspect of Shachinandan Gaurahari. So Sakhe Kalaya Gauramudaram, page 340. How should we see what was the relationship between Gaur and Gadadhar? Because Gadadhar is not different from Srimati Radhika, but taking this form in Gaur Lila. In Navadvip Dham, they were very close, good friends. But in Puri, Gadadhar is taking a step back and only coaching. Sometimes reading Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Mahaprabhu would be weeping, but Gadadhar, being Srimati Radhika, would know the meaning of Bhagavatam. As Lord Shiva says, Aham vedmi shuko veti vyaso veti na veti va. I understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Vaishnavanam yata shambho, because he's a Vaishnava. And Bhagavatam is Vaishnava scripture, all about bhakti. Shukadeva Goswami, he also understands Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Why? Because he is the servant, the pet parrot of Srimati Radhika. He's able to understand and speak Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Vyasa veti na veti va. Vyas may or may not know. Why? Because Vyas is Krishna Dvaipayan Ved Vyas, Krishna himself. Krishna is Vishai Bhagavan. He's the enjoyer. He's the taster of everyone's love and affection. But how to understand Bhagavatam? You need to come to the point of ashray, from the mood of servitor to Krishna. Krishna is Vishai, but ashray from that perspective, so he has taken the position of Sachinandan Gaurahari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's learning how to experience the nectar of Śrīmad Bhagavatam from the perspective of the servant of Krishna, from the perspective of Srimati Radhika. And as he's endeavoring to taste and enjoy, this is Krishna, endeavoring to taste and enjoy the bhavs, the moods of Srimati Radhika, it's like an actor on a stage. Then Gadadhar Pandit is whispering certain things. Not like this, do it like this. You're not playing the role properly. You're not going to be able to experience it right. Barha pidam natabarapapu karnayor kannikaram. And he would tell any shlok. And this would bring Mahaprabhu into the correct mood. So Gadadhar Pandit took this role. And then Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda, they're assisting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who are they in Krishna Lila? Lalita Saki, Vishaka Saki, Radhika's dearmost friends. And they're also coaching him how to taste her moods of love and affection for Krishna from the perspective of Sri Radha. So there's so much beautiful intricateness in this pastime, in this Leela. So Srila Gurudev explained all of these things periodically in different ways so that we can have some understanding about who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, why Krishna came to this world in that form, what he came to experience, what he came to give, what is his function, what is the speciality. Kindly say more about why Ved Vyas may or may not understand. Because Vyas is Krishna himself has manifested in the form of Vyasadeva. Krishna understands what it is like to receive everyone's love and affection. This is told about in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He is the taster, the enjoyer, Vishai. This is his nature. He is known as Vishai Bhagavan. But his other half, so to speak, literally, his other half is Ashray Tattva. The mood of Ashray is not to be the enjoyer, although enjoyment might come, but that is not their purpose. It is only to serve his transcendental enjoyment. He's the Vishai, the supreme Vishai, and rightfully so. He is the supreme enjoyer. So from the supreme enjoyment aspect, how do you understand the mood of the servitor? This is explained in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, what they are experiencing. So in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, they're showing the consciousness or the flow of thought of Krishna. All are worshipping me, all are loving me. I am the source of everything. Everything is emanating from me. When someone chants my name, their heart is cooled. I am the taster of everything. But I see that those who are serving me and loving me are experiencing more pleasure in doing that than I am by receiving their loving service. And this began to exponentially, I'm using this term exponentially, reverberate within him. Exponentially means it was increasing more and more and more as he's meditating and contemplating this. I am the enjoyer of everything, but that person who's giving me enjoyment is experiencing thousands, if not millions of times more enjoyment than I am experiencing being the enjoyer. They're experiencing more by serving me. What's going on? So this was driving him mad. As Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj said, Radha Prem makes Krishna mad. Mad not meaning angry. Mad meaning like crazy. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj explained, what is this madness? When does someone become mad? One, when they're contemplating something and they can't figure it out and they're absorbing their minds in it. They start obsessing on that thing and this creates madness. What's the other one, Sudevi? When one's capacity is not sufficient to be able to understand that thing. And Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj gave the example of a light bulb. If you put I'm trying to understand. Maybe I'll use electronics. If you have an electronics that is only 110 volts and you plug that into a 220 volt outlet, it can't handle the load and it will. So this was also going on because that love is so great, it completely controls and captures him. Yes, he's Madan Mohan. Millions of cupids fall flat just on the idea of the beauty emanating from his toenails. They fall unconscious. Madan Mohan, Kandarpa Kotikamaniya Vishesha Shobham. And yet there is somebody who completely bewilders and captures his mind. So much so that he forgets his name, he forgets his flute, he forgets his peacock feather. He falls at her feet and begs for her to place her lotus feet upon his head. He's completely defeated on that amorous battlefield. So Krishna is trying to understand that thing which is in essence beyond him, which he says, I cannot repay you for that. It is the greatest thing that in forever, the love and affection of the gopis. And among all the gopis, the topmost, crest jewel of all of them, Sarvakanti Shiromani, is Srimati Radhika. So this is something that's a little foreign to Krishna because he's used to being the enjoyer of everything, but he's seeing that something that is from him is enjoying more than himself. This creates a kind of conundrum, makes a certain kind of transcendental madness. And he's like, wait, I want that. I want to taste that. So he's desiring to taste what it is like to love Krishna from the perspective of the devotee. He wants to experience that. So Vyaso Veti Naveti Va means he may or may not understand because Bhagavatam is Bhakta Grantha. It is the mood of the devotees, love and affection for Krishna. So he might not understand. He may or may not. As Krishna may or may not understand the bhavs of the devotees' hearts in love and affection for him. He's busy enjoying their love and affection. Therefore, desiring to understand these three things, Shriradhaya Pranaya Mahima, Ashwadya Yena Adbhuta Madhurima Kindrishabhamadiya, and Sokyam Chasya Mad Anubhavata. He wants to understand these three main components of Srimati Radhika's experience in love and affection for Krishna. Tadbhavadyam samajani shapchigarbhasindo harindu. Desiring to understand these three things, Sri Krishna manifested as Sri Shachinandan Gaurahari from the womb of Mother Shachi as the moon rises from the ocean. I hope that was able to answer your question a little bit. So Srila Gurudev wanted to impress this within us. What are his main reasons for appearing in this world? What are his secondary reasons? What is his primary? What does he want to give to us? Rag Marga Bhakti Loke Korite Pracharam. He came to preach to the whole world this process of spontaneous loving affection for Krishna, like the Brajabasis have for Krishna. This is Raga Marga Bhakti. Through what medium did he experience Radhika's bhavs? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, chanting the names of Krishna. And through what medium did he want us to also experience? Because what he was tasting was so full of nectar, he could not contain it himself. Imagine having the most amazing sweet you've ever had. And your friends are around you, and you're like, oh my God. And you're like having some kind of ecstatic symptoms. And everyone's looking at you, you're like, what? And you're like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my entire life. Well, it's not enough then to just taste it on your own, is it? You can't prove it to anyone if you're just tasting it yourself. You gotta try this also. He's tasting something. What it is like to love Krishna from the perspective of Srimati Radhika, her love and affection for Krishna. And it is the most amazing thing he's ever experienced. And from that, he desires also to share it with others. Srila Gurudev explained how? Like at the time of Rajasuya Yajna. At that time, Krishna was made in charge of giving different personalities different positions of service in that yajna. And Krishna himself took the position of washing the feet of the brahmanas when they would come. He gave so many different services. But what position did Krishna give to Duryodhana? Yudhishthira Maharaj was performing this Rajasuya Yajna. Which position did he give to Duryodhana? You distribute the treasury of Yudhishthira Maharaj to the brahmanas. Yudhishthira Maharaj and others were like, what are you doing? He's going to try to make us bankrupt. He doesn't want us to have anything. Not even as much as what can fit on the head of a pin. Krishna said, don't worry. I know that there's a line on Duryodhana's hand that whatever wealth he touches will immediately double. So as much as Duryodhana could give away, it was always multiplying, doubling immediately. So Gurudev said like this, Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, tasting the moods of Srimati Radhika's love and affection for Krishna, is so amazed by that wonderful rasa. And because it's not his, it's easy to give away. You ever had money that belonged to someone else and that you're supposed to hand over to the next person? Oh, take this and give it to them. It's in an envelope, boom, done. Easy. When it's your own money, it's like, here's 10 cents, 1 rupee, 10 rupees. It's different. So Krishna is tasting someone else's bhav. And then, wow. Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratashay Namaha. He's freely distributing this Krishna Prem. It means love and affection for Krishna to everyone. So along these lines, Rupa Goswami has written this beautiful verse which Srila Gurudev wanted every one of us to know. Anarpita charing chirat kurunayavatin nakalo samarpayitum unatojala rasang svabhakti shriyam harihi purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipita sada hridaya kandare spuratu vashachi nandana. Vah, shachi nandana. Vah means wow. Even if you type in wow in the Google Translate, it will turn into vah in Hindi. So Rupa Goswami is glorifying this Sachinandan Gaura Hari. May he be situated within the innermost caves of your heart. Kandare. Hridaya Kandare means the caves of your heart. Always. Sada. Always. So Rupa Goswami is giving this blessing to all the Vaishnavas. But what is he saying? After what seems like forever, 8,640,000,000 years has gone by. As I told you already, 108 million 80-year human lifetimes. That's a long time. He has come to give what no other avatar has given before. What no other form of the Lord has given before. He is tasting this Unata Ujvala Rasa. That is the moods of Srimati Radhika. The supreme, highest moods of love and affection. The most brilliant, sweet moods of love and affection for Krishna can only be found in her. And he's experiencing that. That is her property and her property alone. If anyone else can taste exactly what she's tasting, then what would be her speciality? But something of that can be given. Unata Ujvala Rasang Sva Bhakti Shriyam. That means the beauty of her moods of love and affection for Krishna. And Srila Gurudev has emphatically declared again and again, and not only him, but many of our acharyas, what is the meaning of that? It's the beauty of her moods of loving service to Krishna. The mood of Śrī Dāmodara, Subal, or Madhya Yashoda, or Nanda Baba, or the cows. or even the other gopis. It is this mood of loving service to Radha and Krishna as a Palyadasi, as a maidservant of Srimati Radhika. And Rupa Goswami was able to give that to this world. What Mahaprabhu wanted to give via the medium of Rupa Goswami established the inner heart's desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this world. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam means he established the inner heart's desire of Mahaprabhu in this world. Yena Bhutale. And that is this mood of loving service to Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan as a kinkari. Swapriya charana kinkaring kuru. So this is the Swabhakti Shriyam, the beauty of Radhika's own moods of love and affection for Krishna. This is what he came to experience and what he came to give. Unata Ujvalaras, and then to give Swabhakti Shriyam. So now we will sing Sake Kalaya Gorumudaram. Sake Kalaya Goramudaram. Sake Kalaya Goramudaram. Sake Kalaya Goramudaram. Sake Kalaya Goramudaram. Ninditahapako Kanti Kalevara. Ninditahapako Kanti Kalevara. Karvitamara Komaram. Karvitamara Komaram. Sake Kalaya Goramudaram. Sake Kalaya Goramudaram. Madhukararanjito Malati Mandito. Madhukararanjito Malati Mandito. Jita Ghano Punchita Kesham. Jita Ghano Punchita Kesham. Tilaka Vinindita Shashadhara Rupaka. Tilaka Vinindita Shashadhara Rupaka. Bhuvana Manoharo Vesham. Bhuvana Manoharo Vesham. Tilaka Vinindita Shashadhara Rupaka. Bhuvana Manoharo Vesham. Bhuvana Manoharo Vesham. Sake Kalaya Goramudaram. Sake Kalaya Goramudaram. Madhumadhura Smita Lobhita Tanubhritam. Madhumadhura Smita Lobhita Tanubhritam. Anupama Bhava Vilasam. Anupama Bhava Vilasam. Vidhuvano Nagari Mohita Manasa. Vidhuvano Nagari Mohita Manasa. Vikatita Gana Gana Vikatita Gado Gado Bhasham Vidhuvana Nagari Mohita Manasa Vikatita Gado Gado Bhasham Vikatita Gado Gado Bhasham Sake Shachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Shachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Shachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Shachinandan Jai Gaura Hari Gaura He 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 Shri Satyanandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Bandhu Sange Jadi Tava Ranga Parihas. This bhajan is so closely linked in our hearts to our Srila Gurudev. First time we heard it was in 1996 at Keshighat. It's page 124. And we were just enjoying the tune. Sitting there at Gurudev's feet. This picture was taken there at that time. Sudevi asked Gurudev, can I? And he just sat straight, looked right into her camera, and boom. And Krishna Das Prabhu sang this bhajan so sweetly, so beautifully. And we were just so delighted to be with Gurudev. It was 1996. It was our first Kartik for most of us who came from the West. There were a few devotees who had been here before that, but most of us, I mean, it was maybe by that time, even not everyone had arrived yet. Some were still coming for the second half of Kartik. And only about 50 devotees from the West came that year. I think there was one busload for devotees from the West and 1 or 2 busloads for devotees from India. And this bhajan was sung by Krishnadas, and afterward Gurudev was just smiling and laughing. He said, "Oh, you should be so careful. Be very careful. Whatever you do, do not come to Vrindavan." And we were already in Vrindavan, so we were laughing, and Gurudev was laughing with us. "And if by some great misfortune you come to Vrindavan, whatever you do, do not come here to Keshi Ghat." We were already there in Keshi Ghat, sitting at his feet. And we were laughing, and there was something about him that seemed almost a little, I'm going to use the word, sinister. He was laughing more than us. And then he said, "And if by some great misfortune you have come here, whatever you do, do not look upon the face of Govinda." That was the next place he was taking us. "Everything will be ruined. All of your happiness and your friendship and your love and everything in this material world will be ruined." And we were laughing. We thought it was cute, and he was laughing too. Seeing something different than cute. It's going to happen. He said, "You will lose everything." And we're like, oh, how sweet. He had a way of telling us the cold, hard truth in a way that would disarm us and make us just think, oh, it's so sweet. And then he added, whatever you do, don't trust that person wearing saffron who's carrying Bhagavatam under their arm. They will cheat you from everything. And when that day comes, don't blame me. I have warned you. And we just thought, oh, he's so sweet. How cute. And he was warning us. Krishna wants everything, and he will take everything. Your heart, your mind, your everything. Krishna will take that. If you open up that door a little crack, be careful. Don't come to Vrindavan. Don't go to Keshi Ghat. Don't look upon the face of Govinda. If you do so, then sangsari grihira jego hoy sarvanash. What does that mean? The family life. Your material life will be completely destroyed. So I'm going to read this translation. This is based on that verse composed by Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī. It is placed in Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita. Smeram hangi traya parichitam shachivishtirna drishtim. Smeram, S-M-E-R-A-M. If you have the desire to have fun and laugh with your friends, then heed my words. Don't go, do not go near Keshi Ghat in Mathura. Mathura means Mathura Mandal. Do not go near Keshi Ghat. Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Mahārāja explained but this word parihas. Parihas is equivalent to our current term BFF. Best friend forever, that you can share anything with, who knows your heart and who says the same thing that you say at the same time. You're so close. You do everything together. You know each other's minds and hearts. You can share the most intimate detail of anything. If you care anything about these things, whatever you do, do not go to Keshi Ghat. There, Sri Hari has taken the form of Govinda, whose eyes are graced with a crooked glance. Be careful for that crooked glance. It means you can't trust him. He'll look at you one way and you'll think, oh, he's so sweet, but there's something crooked about it. Be careful. He also stands in a crooked way. Be careful. Whose mouth is graced with a gentle smile. How captivating is his threefold bending pose. Replete with a radiant, blackish complexion. Radiant, blackish complexion, but is effulgent. Can you imagine how amazing it would be to see something like that? You would be drawn. And his limbs as lovely as tender new leaves. so soft. The flute on his lips is the cause of great peril. O brother, have no faith in that crest of peacock feathers. This is the gopis warning each other. Be careful, we've done this, we've been there, we've seen this. Everything will be finished. Upon beholding that form with the eyes, no one ever returns home. This again is proof. Se murti nayane heri. Having had darshan of that form, nayane heri means being able to see that murti, that form. Keho nahi ghare pire. One cannot return back to whatever they were doing previously. This again is proof. If someone has had real darshan of Krishna, real darshan, then there is nothing in this material world that can ever attract them. And if they are attracted by something in this material world, then they might not have had real darshan. Because the proof is in the pudding. Se murti nayane heri keho nahi ghare pire. Upon beholding that form with the eyes, no one ever returns home. The family life of a householder who does so becomes completely destroyed. And then they added this in parentheses, Tai mor mone borotras. This is the great fear of my mind. This is my greatest fear. A grave calamity will occur. Gati be bipada bhari. Jayonako he sangsari. O householder, so do not go near Keshighat in Mathura. Mathuraya Keshikirta Ghatera Shakash. This great, great warning. And somehow they do it. They speak some sweet Harikatha to you, like an injection. They give you that injection and you're like, oh, that's really nice. And then surgery goes on. Everything. Your mind, your body, your heart, your family, everything. And you will become exclusive like that gopi. That one, only hearing about Krishna, only desire to see Krishna. Since her childhood, she was hearing about Krishna. And by great fortune, she was able to be married in Vrindavan to one of the Gopas. So she was so excited, I get to be married in Vrindavan so that I can see Krishna. Her marriage was only circumstantial so that she could have darshan of Krishna. This was her heart's desire. Gurudev said, if someone has eagerness to see Krishna, then he will be eager to see them. So first and foremost, first thing in the morning, she had such great, what? Great desire to see Krishna. Krishna wanted to see her. Would you like to tell it?
No.
So Krishna made arrangements and stole her heart completely. And we will tell the details of that at another time. Which tune of Bandhu Sange? Krishna Das?
Yeah, the one you always do.
Well, there's the older one.
Is that Krishna Das's?
Or the other one. Bandhu Sange. The Kempta one.
Oh. I don't know which one you like.
Okay, hold tune. Bandhu sange jadi tava ranga parihas. Bandhu sange jadi tava ranga parihas. Kake abhilash, kake abhilash, kake abhilash, কে অভিলাষ বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস তবে মোর কথা রাখো যেও না যেও না তবে মোর কথা রাখো যেও না যেও না মথুরায় কেশী তীর্থ ঘাতে মথুরায় কেশী তীর্থ ঘাতে বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস গোবিন্দ বিগ্রহ ধরি কোথায় আছেন হরি গোবিন্দ বিগ্রহ ধরি কোথায় আছেন হরি নয়নে বঙ্কিমা দৃষ্টি মুখে মন্দহাস নয়নে বঙ্কিমা দৃষ্টি মুখে মন্দহাস কিবা ত্রিভঙ্গমথা বর্ণ সমুজ্জ্বল শ্যাম কিবা ত্রিভঙ্গমথা বর্ণ সমুজ্জ্বল শ্যাম নব কিশোরায় শোভা শ্রী অঙ্গে প্রকাশ নব কিশোরায় শোভা শ্রী অঙ্গে প্রকাশ বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস বন্ধু সঙ্গে যদি তব রঙ্গ পরিহাস অধরে বংশিতে অনর্থের অধরে বংশিতে অনর্থের শিকি চূড়া কেরো ভাই করোনা বিশ্বাস শিকি চূড়া কেরো ভাই করোনা বিশ্বাস সে মূর্তি নয়নে হেরে কেহ নাহি ঘরে তীরে সে মূর্তি নয়নে হেরে কেহ নাহি ঘরে তীরে সংসারী গৃহীর যে গো হই সর্বনাশ সংসারী গৃহীর যে গো Nako he sansari bhati devi pado bhari Jeyo Nako he sansari Madhurayo keshi tirtha Dhate Rosakash Madhurayo keshi tirtha Dhate Rosakash Bandhu sange jadi tavo ranga parihas Bandhu sange jadi tavo ranga parihas Take abhilash take abhilash take abhilash take abhilash Bandhu sange jadi tavo ranga parihas 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 Krishna he 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 Shri Krishna Kanhe Lal ki Jai So next we will sing Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. Of course, we know that this was one of the favorites of our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja. This was written by Srila Rupa Gosvāmī Pad. And he is glorifying Srimati Radhika as that person who is the beloved of Madhava. Gurudev said that this is like her victory song. Radhe Jai Jai Madhava Daite. Gopis chant this, especially her maidservants, when she defeats Krishna on the amorous battlefield. Ananga Ranga Mangala Prasanga Bhangura Bhruvam Savibramam Sasambramam Driganta Panapatanai Nirantaram Vashikrita Pratiti Nandanandane Kada Karishyasi Hamam Kripa Kataksha Bhajanam. Krishna being perpetually pierced again and again by the arrow-like sidelong glances of Srimati Radhika. He loses his composure and falls flat on the amorous battlefield. At that time, all of her manjaris and gopis start saying Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite. The Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja was very, very focused on the glories of Krishna, but more than that, on the glories of Srimati Radhika. And her, he used to say, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimati Radhika is the something personality of Godhead. The first one to write this down and get it right wins a bowl of fresh, hot jalebis. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimati Radhika is the... I'm waiting for it. So, And other times Gurudev would say things that were a little bit shocking. Like Krishna without Srimati Radhika would be Nirvishesh Brahm. That sounds a bit of a stretch, doesn't it? Krishna without Srimati Radhika would be Nirvishesh Brahm. Nirvishesh means without speciality. Still waiting for the word. Without speciality, Nirvishesh. Brahm means like the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Krishna without Radhika would be that. And that sounds like, what? How do you understand that? But Radha Purna Shakti, Krishna Purna Shaktiman, Dui Vashtu Vedanai Shastra Paraman. According to all revealed scriptures, Radhika is the complete Shakti, the full potency. And Krishna is the complete possessor of all potency. There's no meaning to one without the other. Like the scent of musk and musk itself. If I were to say musk, that automatically implies the scent. If I were to say fire, that automatically implies heat. If you were to remove heat from fire, it would no longer be fire. If you were to remove the scent of musk from musk, well, then you cannot define it as musk. In the same way, if you were to remove Srimati Radhika from Krishna, you cannot define him as Krishna. He would be undefined or Nirvishesh. So Srila Gurudev would make these outrageous statements from time to time, but they were all qualified and backed up by Shastra. Shakti or potency means any attribute, any quality, any defining characteristic whatsoever. That is the function of Shakti. That is potency. Krishna without potency really has no meaning, and Radhika without the potent also has no meaning. There is no meaning to the potent without potency, otherwise the word potent itself would cease to exist in a sense. If you remove potency from potent, then what's the use or the meaning of the word potent? And if you remove the potent from potency, there's no meaning to potency. Where did it come from? There's no meaning to one without the other. Without Krishna, there's no meaning to Radhika, and without Radhika, there's no meaning to Krishna. They are one Atma. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shaktirashmad Ekatma. In fact, she is Krishna's own heart, stepping in front of him, reflecting himself in a sense. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita says, like a spotless mirror. Whatever he might place there, immediately it is doubled. So our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Nārāyaṇa Gosvāmī Mahārāja recognized and understood and shared with us these essential teachings and principles so we understand. If you try to approach Krishna alone and neglect Srimati Radhika, you will not be able to attain Krishna. Because Radharani is the medium by which one's love and affection is transmitted to Krishna. I just quoted Srila Prabhupada with that. He writes it in his Chaitanya Charitamrita purports. She is that medium. She is, in essence, his Hladini Shakti, the potency by which he experiences love and affection. And she is the personification of that. So if we have love and affection to give, that essence is known as Ananda. Well, she is the personification of that. In other words, in essence, it's her property. And she is transmitting that to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada further declares, what does Krishna love more than anything? Only Srimati Radhika. I can't hear you. 1 second. Say it again. Oh. Whoever wrote Superior first won the jalebis. It looks like Sudevi Devi Dasi won the jalebis. And guess what? Since she can't have them, it goes to the next in line. So they are one soul in two forms. Even in Sri Ishopanishad, the devotee is praying, please remove your dazzling effulgence so that I can see you. Means there's something by which he requires to go to Krishna. The form of Krishna, the beauty of Krishna, the name of Krishna, the fact that we can even say Krishna, the vibration of the name of Krishna, the decorations of Krishna, the qualities, the pastimes, the attributes, all of that is potency. And so, from the perspective of tattva, Radha and Krishna are not different. But from the perspective of rasa, even that verse says, Radha Krishna pranaya vikritir hladini shaktirasma. For the purpose of tasting pranay, love and affection, they have eternally manifested in two forms. Although they are one Atma, Ekatma. And so from the perspective of Tattva, we can see it one way. But the perspective of Rasa, in the Rasa and in the pastimes, Radhika is being coached by Lalita Sakhi. Whatever you do, do not give in to him. Why? Because it increases his transcendental eagerness. When something is difficult to get, this increases one's desire. And then when one finally is able to get, the satisfaction that comes as a result of that is increased millions of times. If something is very easy to acquire, we don't value it as much. If something is very rare, very precious, very difficult to acquire, then it has more and more value. So that personality who is playing that role of becoming extremely difficult to acquire has achieved that topmost kind of rareness. Sarvakantir Shiromani, the crest jewel of all of Krishna's beloveds. That is Vrishabhananandini Srimati Radhika. And our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, our Rupanuga Guru Varga, know this very well. And so their focus, their direction, yes, they accept Krishna, but only because of his connection to her. They are focused in her direction, that I will serve you and you please Krishna. So Prabhupada, he writes, so our function, I think it was the word function, is how to push Radharani to Krishna. And this is the teachings of our Srila Gurudev also, and of our Rupanuga Guru Varga. So now we will sing Radhe Jai Jai Marabadayate, and time is getting late, so I will just continue with Hare Krishna. Radhe Jayo Jayo Madhava Dayite, 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 Gokula Taruri Mandala Mahite, Gokula Taruri Mandala Mahite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dayite, Damodarāṣṭakam Vardhana Veshe, Damodarāṣṭakam Vardhana Veshe, Madhava Dalite Vishabhanudodhi Navashashileke Vishabhanudodhi Navashashileke Lalita Sakhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Lalita Sakhi Guna Ramita Vishakhe Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dalite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dalite Karunama Kurumari Karuna Bharite Karunama Kurumari Karuna Bharite Sanaka Sanatana Varunita Charite Sanaka Sanatana Varunita Charite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dalite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dalite Gokulakaruni Mandala Mohite Gokulakaruni Mandala Mohite Gokulakaruni Mandala Mohite Gokulakaruni Mandala Mohite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dalite Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Dalite Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Radhe Radhe Govinda Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Govinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Hari Bol 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 Jai Gurudev Gurudev Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Shri Gurudev ki Mahārāja ki jai Guru Bhān Guru Gauri Guru Varga ki jai Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai Radha Ramana Ju ki jai Giriraj Mahārāja ki jai Hari Naam Sankirtan ki jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai Gaura Bhaktivedānta ki jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol
Govind Kishori.
I have to change the tampura. Govinda Damodarāṣṭakam Govinda Damodarāṣṭakam Bolo Radhe Radhe Radhe, Jai 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 Śrī Radhe. 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 Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
Sham.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bo.
So thank you all very much for being with us today and giving us the opportunity to continue remembering the beautiful teachings and interactions and sweetness and awesomeness of our Srila Gurudev and our Guru Varga. We are also indebted to each and every one of you for daily giving us the opportunity to do our Guru Seva, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. After that, we have to do a blessing.
No.
No? Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, dear Vaishnavas.
Bihari Ju ki
Jai.
Jai. Sachinandana Gaura Hari
Ki Jai.
And tomorrow is the auspicious appearance celebration of Srila Bhakti Kamal Govinda Gosvāmī Mahārāja. So we will remember him and speak something about what he has also given us.
And Hari Priya Didi, if you're still there, I will write you back tomorrow. Thank you for your beautiful message. I will write you back. All right, Dandavat Pranam.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Shukriya Madhumani.
Shukriya
Radhe
Madhumani.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.